Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The great diversity of this nation is just going to be displayed between Senator Markey's questions and mine, because in my state, there are only 9 communities where the population is higher than the elevation. Okay? Think about that. Where the population of the town is higher than the elevation of the town. The point being, Wyoming has extremely high elevations and extremely small populations, and EVs don't function as well at altitude. You can't go as far on a charge. So it's very challenging for states like Wyoming to reduce greenhouse gases through its automotive sector on our highways. You've been on Interstate 80. You know it's a commercial truck transportation corridor of real significance, linking the nation between east and west. So I really understand why coastal states, states with small geography and massive populations, want this addressed. But in my state, I'm concerned that this rule might be an electric vehicle mandate, which Congress explicitly excluded during debates on the infrastructure bill, or that it will, Federal Highway Administration will focus on this to the exclusion of congressional intent to recognize this massive diversity in our country. So can you help me know how you're going to balance between the understandable desires that Senator Markey just articulated and the concerns I have in a much different state?
Thank you, Senator Lummis, and thank you for that conversation yesterday. And I would say that having worked in Delaware and in Kentucky and in Colorado, you become very aware of just what a beautifully diverse country that this is, and how a one size fits all doesn't always work there. I would say that when Governor Hickenlooper, we were working as the cabinet, they were trying to get us to buy alternative fuel vehicles for all the state agencies, and as the DOT, we had a lot, and we did that to the extent. But as I mentioned yesterday, performance of those vehicles in the mountains at altitude, in the cold, if you're pushing snow, you want to make sure that you have the right vehicle for that context. And so my commitment, and I also want to be clear that this is a rulemaking, it's still open in public comment period, so we'll take all of those comments in before anything were to come out. But I just want to make sure that we're making common sense decisions that, and that's what I would commit to if I am confirmed.
Well, thank you. Electric vehicles and the mileage they can travel between charges is tested on flat ground, 70 degrees, and there is no such place in Wyoming. So there's no way to get the same kind of mileage out of a charge in a state like Wyoming that you can in the areas where those vehicles are tested. So thank you so much. My next question, and thank you, Senator Markey, for your testimony as well. I recognize the differences between our two states.
No, and I thank you. I think you have represented, Denver's called the Mile High City, is it not?
Yes, it is, sir.
So you probably have a lot of experience in high elevations and electric vehicles, so we'd look forward to your expertise. Thank you.
And he does indeed, and I drive frequently between Denver and Cheyenne. Cheyenne is substantially higher than Denver.
This could go on for a while.
I'll switch to the highway cost allocation study. I had a legislation with another member of this committee that would ensure future Congresses had better data by requiring Federal Highway Administration to conduct a highway cost allocation study before the current authorization expires. Can you provide an update on that study?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. I'd be happy to more accurately do it through QFR, if that would be acceptable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. We talked a little about truck parking. I want to bring that up again. As I mentioned, the truck traffic on Interstate 80 through Wyoming is phenomenal. You'll drive for miles and see no passenger vehicles. It's just truck after truck after truck. It is truly a ribbon of highway uniting east and west for commercial trucking purposes. And the lack of truck parking is a major concern. So I want to get your thoughts on that issue, and I want your commitment. You'll work with me to help solve that problem if you're confirmed.
Absolutely, Senator Lummis. Just throughout my time in transportation, the critical importance of freight and making sure that when we talk about safety, making sure that those trucks have a place to spend their rest time is absolutely critical. And I absolutely commit, if confirmed, to working with you on this important issue.
We have been informed that with a looming railroad strike, it would take almost 500,000 trucks to replace the freight that is transported by rail. And so that sort of illustrates how important some of our intermodal opportunities are in this country. I understand that there's an updated Jason's Law report that remains unavailable to the public. This report outlines the lack of available parking for truckers nationwide. Will you commit to an expeditious release of that report if you are confirmed?
Senator Lummis, I would commit to an expeditious release to the extent that I would have purview, if confirmed, within federal highways.
Thank you. And I have a couple other questions. We sort of touched on them yesterday about wildlife crossing pilot programs and about NEVI
you want to ask those
implementation.
for the record, or would you like to be record? We're going to have a second round if you'd like.
Oh, great. I'll probably just stay for the second round then. Thank you.
Thank you, sure.